Here we are, Shemini Atzeret. Let's go see what Eric's doing. Eric, are you excavating? Are you digging in?
Digging into the words a little bit. Hey, Shabbat Shalom. This is Shemini Atzeret of 2017. Happen to be up here near Yosemite somewhere in California. Beautiful day. You would ask somebody online to say, does anybody have a subject that we should think about and consider? This week of Sukkot we've had. So I was looking at this thing about Melkizedek, because that's what somebody had asked us to.
Ron and Marlies, my good friends.
So just hopefully maybe a real quick 10-minute video here or something. This subject is so big. I did this class back in 2011, and the second week, the week of the letter bet, each week was a different letter, but the week of the letter bet, I put on this picture of a banyan tree. And that's totally unlike any of these evergreens here, but the banyan tree has roots that connect to the branches, and you can't tell which branch came or which root came first. It's just the most incredible tree. They have them in Hawaii and Indonesia. One of the words for Sukkot is you have the branches of what's called the palm tree, but it actually is the tree which shoots up real tall. So these fir trees, pine trees, could serve as that tree which goes up like the palm tree just as easily. You don't necessarily need to get one of those lulav things from Israel for $50.
What? No lemon? No oversized.
That's a whole different video.
No oversized lemon.
If you want to go there, like that movie Ush Fazim has the lemon having some significance on the festival of Sukkot in Jerusalem. That's a whole other story.
Yeah.
But we're talking about this thing with Melkizedek. So, you know, the whole study, we're not trying to debate doctrine. We're just digging into the words.
What do the words mean?
The only way to know what the words mean, well, you got three ways. One, the internet now is so efficient, we've got 100 different translations. Go on, what's it called, the Blue Sword or eSword?
eSword,
or
yeah.
Some blue other, anyway, the point is, Blue Letter Bible, or the point is, you can go online and get 100 different translations. Pick your favorite one. Just look at the random assortment and figure it's somewhere in between. Or you can look at the dictionary. We've got a real good Hebrew dictionary that I recommend called the Red Dictionary by Ernest Klein.
Well, just an example. I think it's Ezekiel 20:25. I brought that up to you about gave them statutes. If you read different translations, I know there's three that have completely different meanings. One says, gave them statutes whereby they should not live, or could not live, or would not live. So that's three different meanings from this word. It's three completely different.
If you look at the word is nun tav tav yod, natati in Hebrew, and it can mean he gave them over to statutes.
And that would fit the pattern of
not necessarily giving them himself.
Of like captivity into Assyria or Babylon. That would fit the pattern, which makes 100% more sense.
It's all how you define the words. If you don't dig into the words, like this excavator we're sitting on, if you don't sit there and work on these words, reverse engineering them, breaking them apart letter by letter, 2 letters by 2 letters, 3 letters by 3 letters. You look in the dictionary, you look in Brown Driver Briggs to find out wherever the word was used. You can even look in Strong's, which will give you the English translation. But if you don't look at the words, and even look at how they were used in different languages, which is the benefit of an interlinear or the etymological dictionary, you will be left as the victim of somebody else's opinion.
Exactly.
Now, I'm about to show you what I think Melkizedek is all about, but again, if you take my word for it, you're a victim of my opinion. I'm not asking you to do that, but I'm just trying to show something that I was never shown. So I'll show you what's in the words.
Well, let's go move some real dirt.
Might need a bigger machine than this excavator to push these words around. So, there's this business of the order of Melchizedek. It's only mentioned 2 times in the entire Scripture. The whole Bible, once in the New Testament, Hebrews, chapters 7 and 8, and then you've got Psalms 110, verse 4. So if you look at Psalms 110, verse 4, it says, Yahuwah has sworn and will not relent. You shall be a priest forever because you are a king of righteousness. Okay, that's verse 4. That's talking about Melchizedek. Did you see that in there?
Yeah.
No, you didn't. Where's Melchizedek? Yahuwah has sworn and will not relent. You shall be a priest forever because you are a king of righteousness. There's no word Melchizedek. However,
king righteousness.
where's Melchizedek? If you look at the King
What's Melka
James,
mean?
huh?
What's Melka mean?
What does Melech mean? Melech. Hey, there's that word right there. Mem, Lamed, Kaf, Yod. So we're going to look at these words because what I'm saying is that if you look at the KJV, it says, I have made you a priest forever after the order of Melchizedek. Order of Melchizedek. They translate this. Here's the letter M. That's a mem. Lamed. Remember in Hebrew it's read right to left. English is left to right. But here's the consonantal sounds. This is a K. This is a Y or an I. Hyphenated to T, Z, D, Q. So if you read it that way is Melchizedek. Melchizedek. And this word Melech means king. Yod suffix can be the word my. And this word Zadik is the word for righteous. So that's where they get king. There's no of. It's not there. King righteous or righteous king because you are a righteous king. So here they say because you are a king of righteousness. But in the KJV it doesn't say king of righteousness. It says after the order of Melchizedek. So in the KJV, King James Version, whole thing...
You got to have a secret handshake to get in that order.
Melchizedek. This is where they take the letter Kaf and they pronounce it as a CH, but that's another one of those phonetic gyrations. Here's the interesting thing. We'll look at a little bit more Hebrew. Atah is simply translated as the word you. But the way I see this, here's that aleph-tav. Remember, aleph-tav as a single word is never translated in Hebrew. The dictionary says it can mean with, but it's that one word that's not translated that apparently even the literary geniuses of the Hebrew language don't really know what it means. But Yeshua in the book of Revelations declared, I am the first and the last, the beginning and the end. That would be the aleph and the tav. That's another study. But the way I see this is you, hey, as a suffix, as a regular letter by itself, it means the. And as a suffix letter, it's kind of like to make evident or reveal. For example, the word righteous is zadak, but if you add a hey, it's righteousness. So this adds the ness, which is kind of this expression. So you could say, you should reveal aleph-tav. You could say that's spelled, here, I make the symbol like this, aleph-tav. If anybody sees that symbol, that's what it is. Your job is to reveal aleph-tav. This is the word Cohen, which is priest. So the thing about this word Cohen, Kaf He Nun, it means priest. This is the K, the H, and the N. This word Kaf He in the dictionary means yes, so, truly, thus, verily. It's to affirm. If you take the word Kaf Nun, it's the same basic meaning. It's where you get the word canon, which is to put something on a pedestal and aim it and dial it in exactly, or like tuning in a frequency on a radio. Hey noon is where you get the word hana, hey noon, hey, which means behold. Hey, take a look at this. Or hineni, you had two noons, it means here I am. It's to capture the attention and focus it on something. So the word for priest can be dissected, like the excavator getting in there and digging into the word, can mean you revealing aleph-tavs should show favorably so that people can actually get it and comprehend with gladness the truth, what's absolute, what's trustworthy, what they can base their life on and know that they are in favor with Elohim because they're walking in his ways. And the priest's job is to show the truth, make it evident, make it clear. That's embedded in the word priest. You, priest. This word leolam is translated forever. This is kind of a prefix meaning unto, or for, or in the condition of. And olam can mean hidden, or forever, or something unknown, like an unknown time. And there's an aspect of the world that can mean worldwide, or universal. So is he telling the whole world, or is he telling the world forever? That's debatable. That's another matter. This word ayin lamed means it can be translated as above, or considering, or in the condition, or next to, together with, in relation. It's something to do in relation, and the word ayin lamed itself actually is a yoke. So something about what follows the ayin lamed, which happens to be this word, has to do with revealing aleph-tav favorably and gladly, universally, forever. And this is the word translated as order. I've made you, a priest forever. And then they translate this as after the order of Melkitzdq. Well, this word order, if you know about how Hebrew is worked, the root of it is this word debar. That's D-B-R. And you're reading it that way. So this is a T and a Y, so it would be debarti. But tav yod is the suffix. So if you want to look at this word, it's pronounced like the Bears. Like, you know, the Chicago team? Debar, or the beer. It's D-B-R. I've made you a priest forever, yoked to or in relation to what? What is the priest forever all about? This is the key word of the sentence. So what does that word debar mean? Well, if you look in the Red Dictionary, page 113 and 114, the word debar means to speak. As stipulated, as agreed. It means to follow behind someone back. Speaking, speech, word, leader, guide, business, occupation, something, anything. Pestilence, plague, pasture, cause, reason, manner. It's a raft, like pulling a trailer behind you, or pulling baggage behind your ship. So, pertaining to pestilence, it's also, if you had the noon behind this, it's a talkative or a loquacious or eloquent person. In other words, it has to do a bunch of words. But what's that got to do with pasture or plague or pulling a trailer behind you? It has something which follows. In other words, a leader goes out here in front and other people follow. Yahweh gave us his words, according to the aleph-tav that the Kohen is supposed to make clear, and his words carried with them either pestilence or pasture, blessing or cursing. These words all have something following. If you do them, you get blessed unto life and you're enlightened. If you don't do these words, you'll be deceived, you'll get the curse, and it'll bring pestilence. That's what we agreed to. And then you say, well, is this the secret order of a special group of priests with fancy outfits and maybe special hats and loincloths? Or people come up with all kinds of stuff. The Royal Order of Moose, or what was it? Not Moose, it was, what was Fred Flintstone in? I forget. Royal Order of Water Buffaloes or something?
I think it was the water buffaloes.
Water Buffaloes. Okay, anyway. The point about that is that if this is referring to, it's not some secret order, but it's, the yod means my as a suffix, and this is like, you could read it as the past tense. And if this means stipulated as we agreed, then you could say, your job as priest forever is to reveal the aleph-tav cleanly, simply, purely, absolute truth to my people around the world forever that would otherwise be hidden to them, and its relation to the yoke as I stipulated. As I stipulated is what debar means. Or and it could mean, even though the plural suffix isn't there, but as we agreed. And then you say Melchizedek. Well, what does Melchizedek have to do with that? This word Zadik is just righteous. We won't mess with that. But this word here, Yod meaning my, might refer to this guy up here, Yahuwah, but it might refer to something to do with this word here. Sometimes the suffix is referential to the word, not one who spoke the word. So here, Mem is also a prefix letter for the word Lamed Kaf. This would be pronounced Laka. That's Lamed Kaf, Laka. There's a certain parashah reading that's Lek Laka, and it's translated, go, get out of here, get you out. So the Lamed is a shepherd staff, and the Kaf as a suffix means you, and this letter Mem is puts something into the form of a noun or a tool or a place. So even though this is translated my king, you could say the tool where I commanded you to go, because laka also is translated, if you put a hey in front of it, as walk. The instructions as I stipulated, as we agreed, are the tool, the device used to show you how to walk in my righteousness. So, Psalms 110 verse 4 is referring to somebody, whether it's Yahushua or whether it's David. That's another reading of the text that people argue about, but nevertheless, whoever he's referring to in Psalms 110 is supposed to reveal the aleph-tav as a kohen showing the truth, not some twisted doctrines or political agenda or like victory over the ignorant, Nike over the laity. That's another matter. The priest is not supposed to do that. He's supposed to declare the truth to make it pleasing and useful and understandable worldwide to all those who might be interested in relationship to, as I stipulated, according to how to walk in righteousness. There. That's a priest forever after the order of Melchizedek. And I can only bet that the guy in Genesis 15, which is the only other verse in the entire Bible where this word Melchizedek shows up, Abraham, with 318 men, I believe the count was, slaughtered 5 kings who had taken over these other 4 kings, Sodom and Gomorrah and the cities of the plain, and he went, according to the book of Yashar, there was like 80,000 or 800,000, can't remember the number, 300 guys against 80,000 guys, and Abraham whooped them all. And this Melchizedek, otherwise known as the king of Salem, means peace, but that's the city where he's king over, he came out and they had a conversation. So Psalms 110 is the only, verse 4 is the only other verse other than that occasion in Genesis 15 where Melchizedek is mentioned. It's then mentioned again in Hebrews, chapters 7, 8, 9.
Which we've been going over.
We've been going over, but the problem is, the way I just translated this does not flow into the book of Hebrews. And it's not even mentioned in the book of Genesis. I'm just showing you that in the book of Psalms, It's a standalone verse as a concept, and then it was pulled into Hebrews in a weird way. That's a whole nother video, but here, I'll go over it again. Over here, I didn't write on the board so we could zero in this. I have made you priest forever. What does a priest do? Shows the aleph-tav revealed as pleasant and comprehensible so that it's doable to everybody throughout all time in specific relationship to the stipulations as we agreed, which goes back to the Torah that Yahweh gave to Moshe, especially what it is, the Torah, the first 5 books, Genesis, Exodus, Leviticus, Numbers, and Deuteronomy. And he zeroes in with Numbers, Leviticus, and Deuteronomy. That's where you'll find the stipulations.
Well, we just read that thing. They're kind of going off the rails, and I pointed that out to you, that Kirk Heimerkel guy that's one of the Nolanites.
Nolanites? Is that some of that,
Oops.
that hard stone?
You want me to
you
do
can
an
dig up,
impression of him?
Huh?
Just kidding. Make
With a
Rico
chicken
happy.
hat.
Make Rico happy. No, but he that thing that I showed you, he just made the claim that Day of Atonement, only 40 years in the wilderness. No mention of that afterward. Of course, he didn't read Isaiah 58, which is all about that day, nor Ezekiel.
Oh, wait a minute, you just ran over something real fast. What you're saying is, somebody is telling us that the Day of Atonement, otherwise known as Yom Kippur, was only ever observed by the entire nation of Israel only for the duration of the 40 years while they were in the wilderness before they ever entered the land, the promised land of Canaan, way back in the days of Joshua.
Even though, in, where is it, Exodus 35, said these are to be done throughout your generations. And that
throughout your generations forever. That
forever,
generations
yes. So
is door, like a door is an opening to the next room. Each generation is the opening to the next phase, the next cycle, the next turn in the queue, as it were. So generation after generation is door, but he's saying, when Yahweh said, this generation will die out and stop, and then the next generation will go into the land, he is suggesting that it was only for one generation, and then it stopped, and the next generation didn't have to pick it up and carry it.
Foolishness.
But if it says, throughout your generations, door, then whoever is coming up with this interpretation is not reading the words, apparently, and trying to figure out what the words mean.
No, there's no doubt about that. I don't think he has any interest in the paleo at all. And
You can see this in regular modern. I just write in paleo because it's easier to see the word pictures.
well, it brings out the full expression, the full content and the possibilities of the word. So it's very important. And we see the importance of this as not only relating to this King of righteousness, but as an order that we're to follow, just as we follow the steps of Messiah,
Well,
walking in all those ways.
I would say if anybody wanted to be of the order of Melchizedek, the answer's right here.
Walk
Okay,
like
you
Messiah.
pick up-
That's
you
about
pick
as
up the
simple as
word.
I could say it.
Well, this is what Mashiach, Yeshua, did too.
Exactly.
Reveal the true beauty and pleasantness of my stipulations worldwide for all time. They're yoked together
I think I
as
mentioned.
the way to walk in righteousness.
I think I mentioned to you this other guy. I'm not going to name names, but I watched a video somebody gave me and wanted me to watch it, and it said that you have to take this oath of this order of Melchizedek.
The oath of the order of Melchizedek. There's no mention of an
But
oath.
I watched the video, and it never came to any conclusion. Never revealed what this oath was. I'm like, what the hell is this about?
Let me take a stab at what the oath might be. Just to say, the word to take an oath would be shavah, shin, bet, ayin. That means oath, to take an oath, or to swear. It also means full, filled, basically to overflowing, satisfied. In other words, if you have a cup and you fill it up to the point where it overflows with foam, then you know you've got a full cup. And when Yahweh says that his measure is good measure, pressed down, shaken together, and overflowing, that's what this word actually means. He's describing his measure as shavah. The thing is about this word, it also happens to be the number 7. The word shavah, number 7, is the same word oath. So if you were going to say take the oath of Melchizedek, the only place that I can go with this is to say, well, gosh, if you go back looking at as he stipulated, though there were 10 commandments, there's actually 7 pieces to the Mishkan pattern, which is a whole nother talk we're going to do here. And there was 7 days of creation. There was 7 Moedim, festivals in Leviticus 23. There's 7 pieces to the Mishkan as I see them fit to the pattern.
7 spirits of Yahuwah.
7 spirits of Yahuwah. And the essence of that 7 breakdown fits into the description of the meaning of the aleph-bet. That's the erectology study. But what I'm saying is, if he was to say, oh, the 7 Moedim are the pattern of the oath that you swear if you want to be Melkizedek, it's like, well, sure you do. You take upon yourself, when you keep the 7th day, that you're swearing an oath of fidelity to Yahweh. He says the Sabbath day is the sign that I'm your Elohim and you're my people.
What's that word sign?
Oath.
Is that oath? It is, huh?
It's aleph-tav, is the word oath. It's pronounced as we would say the word oath, which is the very similar thing.
Yeah.
And the interesting thing about that is that it's also, the letter oath is a sign or a symbol. Like, for example, if you see these numbers here and you think, oh, what is that? You don't even have to know how to read that, but if you knew that this meant a certain size of engine and design of equipment that's on this machine, then that would go, oh, I know what that means.
Yeah.
If you knew how to read the numbers 450G, well, if you didn't read the language base that this was in, you wouldn't know how to read 450G. So there's 2 ways to read. One is you look at the symbol and you know what it means. The other one is you dissect the letters and numbers, or the figures, which are called grammaton in Greek, which is a whole thing in Corinthians. But the point about that, you either break down the grammaton to the smallest parts, like breaking down a tree to the atoms of carbon, hydrogen, nitrogen. When you break down like chemicals, it's like deconstructing with equipment words down to the letters and knowing what they mean. So the thing is, if aleph-tav is an oath, as agreed, similar to what he says here, debarti, and yet aleph-tav also means letter of the alphabet. So the erectology study that we keep going on about is that every single letter of the aleph-bet between aleph and tav reveals the truth forever, that what he said is how we should walk in righteousness, so that, interesting, the same exact word righteous also means victory, deliverance, and salvation. So instead of saying King of Righteousness or walk according to being righteous, you could read, when you walk in the condition as I told you to, which is righteously, you will find your life with victory, deliverance, and salvation. That's the other way to read this. So if anybody thinks they want to be of the order of Melchizedek, go around teaching the world the absolute truth of how to reveal the aleph-tav according to the 22 letters of the aleph-bet, which is the way he stipulated the agreement of the oath, the sevenfold oath, also played out in the Mishkan pattern, which is that if you walk in righteousness, the scales will tip. Then you get into Amos 5:24, which is another video, which we could do next if you want. But there's the key to life. Walk in righteousness, you'll get victory. He even said so, and he'll have his Kohanim reveal that to you clearly if they'll do their job properly.
We do need to make another video that'll be a lot longer, because there's a lot of ground to cover with this. Well, they say it's a new teaching, but this Nolanite teaching has been around for over a century that I know of, because I was familiar with the pastor that used to teach it. And they couldn't decide whether clean and unclean, to eat clean foods. Well, they say, well, no, new clean and unclean, but you have to go to Leviticus 11 to find out what that is. So, that's book of the law. So it's just a confusing thing, and I've dealt with this all my life, and I brought it up to one of their adherents the other day, like, this isn't nothing new. You guys didn't discover this. This has been around for a long time and pretty much rejected.
The Melchizedek teaching that we don't have to keep the book of the law has been around for about 100 years that you know of.
At least, yeah. I think the Seventh-day Church of God was splitting over these issues because they couldn't figure out book of the law or book of the covenant. And so they split, and people can research that, like Seventh-day Church of God, type in Stansbury, and a lot of them would just, those assemblies
Or if you
split
don't want to
over this
waste
because they
time
couldn't figure it out.
If you don't want to waste time researching, what that means, spend your time researching how to reveal the aleph-tav as a kohen showing the truth gladly so that people can do as we agreed and stipulated, walking in righteousness. Spend your time figuring that out.
Yeah, just do that.
A much better use of those minutes and hours.
That's right, Eric. Okay, let's wrap this one up and get on to the next subject.
Shalom.
Shalom.